The first 15 Psalms, translated into English verse, by Jonathan Swift. Dr. Gibbs, Dr. Swift. 1 Psalm of David. 1. 1. I warn the reader that comparing the different state of the this is a lie, both here righteous and the wicked, both in this and all over the book, and the next world. For these are not Psalms of David, but of Dr. Gibbs. 1 Thrice happy he, that does refuse. 2. But I suppose with impious 2 sinners to combine. Pious sinners a man may who ne'er their wicked way pursues, combines safely enough and does the scorner seat. 3. Decline. 3. What part of speech is it? 2. But still to learn, and to obey for all. The law of God is his delight, in that employs himself all day. 5. A man must have and reads and thinks thereon at 4, some time to sleep, so night. 5. That I will change the verse thus, and thinks and dreams thereon all night. 3. 4. As a tree, whose spreading root 6. Look ye, you must by some prolific stream is fed, thin the boughs at the produces 6. Fair and timely fruit, top, or your fruit will and numerous boughs adorn its head. Be neither fair or whose 7. Very leaves, though storms descend, timely. In lively verdure still appear 7. Why, what other part whose 7. Very leaves, though storms descend, of a tree appears in lively? In lively verdure still appear. Verdure, beside the such blessings, always shall attend leaves. The man that does the Lord revere. These very leaves on which you penned your woeful stuff may serve for squibs, such blessings always shall attend the madrigals of Dr. Gibbs. For like chaff with every wind dispersed. 1. 1. Dispursd. Rhyming with cursed, pronounce this like a blockhead. 6. And these to punishment may go. 2. 2. If they please. The above may serve for a tolerable specimen of Swift's remarks. The whole should be given, if it were possible to make them intelligible, without copying the version which is ridiculed, a labor for which our readers would scarcely thank us. A few detached stanzas, however, with the Dean's notes on them, shall be transcribed. Thus writes Scott, but I have added a great many more, which deserve reprinting, if only for their humor. T.S. Dr. Gibbs, Dr. Swift. 2 Psalm of David. 1. I do not believe that ever kings entered one. Why do the heathen nations rise? Into plots and in mad tumults join. Confederacies against the reign of God Almighty. 2 Confederate kings' vain plots. 1. Devise against the Almighty's reign. His royal title they deny. 2. What word does whom God appointed Christ? That plural number belong to. 3. Let us reject their 2. Laws, they cry, their binding force resist. 7. And thus to him was pleased to say. 3. An excellent drug as I his words declare. 3. German. 9. But those that do thy laws refuse. 4. After a man is in pieces thou shalt break. Broken in pieces, and with an iron scepter bruise. 4. Tease no great matter their disobedient. 5. Neck. To have his neck bruised. 10. Ye earthly kings, the caution here. 6. Rulers must learn, ye rulers learn the same. 6. It but kings may only hear it. 11. Serve God with reverence and with fear. 7. His joyful praise proclaim. 7. Very proper to make a joyful proclamation with fear. 12. Confess the Son, and own his 8. Reign. 8. Of Blackmore's ere he to wrath inclines, reign. And so resenting your disdain, confound your vain designs. 9. 9. You with his lines. For should the madness of his foes 1. 1. For should the foes avenging God incense, of David's ape happy are they that can repose provoke his grey in him their confidence. 2. Goose quills, happy are they that can escape the vengeance of his pills. 3. Psalm of David, when he fled from his son Absalom, to Dr. Gibbs ex aqua in ignum. 4. When to the Lord for help I cry. 3. Sec o ur. He hears me from the throne on high. 4. By this I think it. 5. And thus I sleep and wake secure. 3. Is clear that he cries guarded by his almighty power. 4. In his sleep. 6. No fears shall then my soul depress, loa rd, though thus my enemies increase. Scotus. 7 and 5. Therefore, now arise, O Lord. 5. He desires God's and graciously thy help afford. Help because he is not afraid of his enemies. Others, I think, usually desire it when they are afraid. 8. And thus 6. To grant a sure defense. 6. The doctor hath a belongs to God's. 7. Omnipotence. Mighty affection for the particle thus. He uses it 4 times in this psalm, and 100 times in other places, and always wrong. 4. Psalm of David, reproving and admonishing his enemies, not to burlesque his psalms. 1. As thou hast always taken care, a pretty phrase. My sufferings to remove. 2 but you, my frail, 1 malicious foes. 1 are they malicious who do my power despise. Out of frailty, or frail vainly how long will ye oppose out of malice? And 2 falsely calumnize. I will discover the doctor's secret of making the coherence and connection in the psalms that he brags of in his title and preface. He lays violent hands on certain particles, such as and, when, since, for, but, thus, so, and 100, and presses them to his service on all occasions sore against their wills, and without any regard whether the sense will admit them or no. 3 since those alone the Lord has blessed. 3 tease plain the doctor that do from sin refrain. Never requested to be a he therefore grants what I request. 3 poet. And here's when I 4 complain. But of thy face to us do thou what is it, to the favor still dispense. Dispense the favor of his face. 7 then shall my soul with more divine. 5 I have heard of it and solid joys abound. Crown or garland of corn, than they with stores of corn and wine. But a crown of wine is those earthly riches crowned. 5 new, and can hardly be explained, unless we suppose the wine to be in icicles. 8 and thus confiding, Lord, in thee. 6 and yet, to show I take my calm repose. 6 tell no fibs, for thou each night protectest me, thou hast left me in from all my 7 treacherous foes thrall to Hopkins, Eke, and Dr. Gibbs, the vilest rogue of all. 5 Psalm of David. Trusting in God, he implores protection, especially doctor, from his enemies. Gibbs. 1 O Lord, receive my fervent prayer. 1 I suppose he relieve my soul oppressed with care, thought it would be and hear my loud 1 complaint, heard the better for being loud. Greek oin into mega kekrigenakai ochlisan einai. Luke, Tim Misanth. 2 On thee alone I can rely, do thou, my God, to whom I fly, my sad 2 petition grant. 2 My poor petition. I, a sad one indeed. 5 They on thy favor can't rely. 3 Such vile poetry. That practice such iniquity. 3 What is the meaning of for thou wilt punish those that word such in this place? 6 That do malicious lies. 4 Invent. 4 Malicious lines. And would to death the innocent by treacherous means. 5 Expose. 5 By doggerel rhymes. 8 Lord, in thy laws. 6 Direct my ways. 6 He perseveres. Not since those my watchful foe surveys that he values the laws and make me persevere, but because his foes watch him. A good principle. 9 They flatter to destroy. 10 But let, O Lord, the vengeance do. 7 Horrid rhymes. Those in their horrid crimes. 7 Pursue. 8 Defo why. Who do thy power defy. 8 6 Psalm of David. Penitently complaining of his sufferings, by this translator. I thy heavy hand restrain. 9 Thy heavy hand with mercy, Lord, correct. Restrain, do not. 1 As if in high disdain, have mercy, Dr. Gibbs, my helpless soul reject. Do not, I pray thee, paper stain. 2 For how shall I sustain with rhymes retailed in 2 those ills which now I bear, dribs. My vitals are consumed with pain. 3 My soul oppressed with care. 1 That bit is a most glorious botch. 5 For in the silent grave, very true all that. When there I lie obscure, no gracious favors I can have, nor magnify thy power. 6 Lord, I have prayed in 1 vain. 1 The doctor must so long so much oppressed, mean himself, for I hope my very 2 cries increase my pain. David never thought so. And tears prevent my rest. 2 Then he's a dunce. 7 These do my sight impair for crying. My flowing eyes decay, while to my enemies I fear thus. 3 To become a prey. 3 That is, he is afraid of becoming a prey to his enemies while his eyes are sore. 8 But ye vain forces, fly. 4 Flow why? For God, whom I adore, why then does he tell us just before that he has prayed in vain, and is afraid of becoming a prey to his enemies? 9 My impious foes does still destroy, when I his aid implore. 10 O Lord, by thy fierce hand repelled, with sudden shame retire. 5 A very proper word for a man that is repelled by a fierce hand. Romans 7 Psalm of David. When unjustly persecuted. 6 And accused of. 6 By Dr. Gibbs. Treachery against King Saul. I, O Lord my God, since I repose. 7 By chance. My trust in thee alone. 7 Save and defend me from my foes that furiously come on. 8 Advance. 2 Lest, like a ravenous lion, they what sort of lions are my captive soul devour, they that devour souls. 4 If I've not spared him though he's grown. 9 Grew n. My causeless 1 enemy. 1 If he be grown his causeless enemy, I presume he is no longer guiltless. 5 Then let my life and future 2 crown 2. He gives a thing become to him a prey, before he has it, and gives it to him that has it already. For Saul is the person meant. 6 But Lord, thy kind assistance, 1 Lend, 1 But why lend? Arise in my defense, does he design to return according to thy laws? 2 Contend it back when he has done for injured innocence, with it. 7 That all the nations that oppose, 3 Opa use. May then confess thy power, therefore assert my righteous cause that they may thee adore. 4 Ado you ray. 8 For equal judgment, Lord, to thee. 5 Yet in the very the nations, 5 All submit. Verse before he tells of be therefore. 6 Merciful to me, nations that oppose. And my just soul acquit. 6 Because all nations submit to God, therefore God must be merciful to Dr. Gibbs. 9 Destroy the wicked in their plots. Poor David never could the just with blessings crown. Acquit for all the ways and secret thoughts. 8 A criminal like thee, of both to thee are known, against his psalms who couldst commit such wicked poetry. 10 Thus by God's gracious providence. 9 Observe thee I'm still preserved secure. 1 Connection. Who all the good and just defends. 1 Secure. With a resistless 2 Power. 'Tis wonderful that providence should save thee from the halter, who hast in numbers without sense burlesqued the holy psalter. 11 All men he does with justice view. 1 That's no great, and their iniquity mark of viewing them with direful vengeance can pursue with justice. God has or patiently, 1 Pass by, wiser ends for passing by his vengeance on the wicked, you profane dunce. 13 For he the artillery directs, what's that charge? It the sudden charge ordains, must allude to a charge of gunpowder, or it is nonsense. 15 Lo, now th inflictions, 2, they designed 2, but what sort of by others to be borne, things are these even all the mischiefs 3, in their mind inflictions. Do on themselves return. 3 If the mischiefs be in their mind, what need they return on themselves? Are they not there already? 16 By their own treachery betrayed 5 pills to the same ills, 5 that they invented, and with those essayed 6 rich. To make the poor 6 their prey. Does this verse end according to the more modern art of poetry, as the author speaks in his preface? 17 O Lord, how glorious are the ways, do not these verses end of thy good providence? Very sublimely. Thou Lord, whose blessed name I praise, true justice dost dispense. 8th Psalm of David. 1 The mighty powers that celebrate, that's a lie. For if thy endless praises can't relate they the glory they in heaven survey, can survey it they can easily relate it. 2 Young helpless infants at the breast young younglings. Their great creator have confessed, the italics are, and in their weakness spoke thy power, swifts. This stanza is just upon the purlieus between sense and nonsense. 4 Lord, what is wretched? 7 Man, I cry. 7 A very proper epithet or all his sinful progeny, for those who are scarce that thou to them dost prove so kind, inferior to angels. 5 To honor thou dost them prefer, a fine cadence that. To angels scarce inferior. 6 They over all thy works command. 7 The flocks and herds o'er every field. 1 That's a lie, for to their just lord's obedience yield, sometimes they trespass and all, 1 In full subjection stand, on other men's grounds. 8 O'er all the birds that mount the air, 2 Apir. And fish that in the floods appear, 2 Man bears an arbitrary sway. Those, I think, are not very many. They are caught, but till then we have no great sway over them. 9 Psalm of David. 3 Confounded at the sight of thee. 3 The doctor's mistaken. My foes are put to flight. 3 For when people are confounded, they cannot fly. 4 Thus thou, great God of equity. 4 Against Sternhold dost still assert my right. 4 And Hopkins. 6 Insulting foes, how long can ye? 5 Boasant. Of ruined cities boast. 5 Blunderings, sicoride your plunderings now as well as they meo periculo. That's a are in oblivion lost, lie, for Gibbs remembers them. 7 But God eternally remains. 6 That's false and fixed in his throne on high, profane. God is not fixed anywhere. 8 And to the world from thence ordains. 7 Did anybody ever impartial equity? 7 Hear of partial equity. 9 And for their injured souls extend that extending a refuge most secure, is pretty. 12 He hears the injured poor, and then 1 E is angry at their does all their cries resent, cries. 13 And thus consider still, O Lord. 8 Nothing is restored the justice of my cause, but what has been taken who often hast my life. 8 Restored away, so that he has been from death's devouring jaws, often raised from the dead, if this be true. 15 The heathen nations are dismayed. 9 We heard a while they're all to ruin brought, ago their very names were for in the treacherous nets they laid, dead one now, it seems, even they themselves are caught, their only dismay. 500 Footnote 1 ver. 5 They and their very names are dead. 16 Lo, thus the Lord to execute true judgment still inclines. This is profane, as if it were only an inclination in God to be just. 10 Psalm of David. 1 Lord, why in times of deep distress, if the woes require aid, dost thou from us retire? It is to increase them, when dismal woes our souls oppress. They cannot require it, and thy kind aid require. Against themselves. 2 The wicked do with lawless pride. 1 Proid. Pronounce the helpless persecute it like the Scotch. But let them be themselves destroyed and fall in their pursuit. I let them. 3 For still they triumph. When success I cannot crock this does their designs attend, stave. And then their ways, who thus oppress, profanely they commend. 5 And from the barbarous 2 paths they tread. 2 The author should know acts of providence first have premised what can e'er oblige them to recede. Sort of paths were or stop. 3 Their bold offense, properly barbarous. I suppose they must be very deep and dirty, or very rugged and stony, both which I myself have heard travelers call barbarous roads. Would you have it stopped like a bottle, or a thief? For what end? Is it to catch a louse? Better lay wait for the rich by half. 8 And for the poor in secret they do treacherously lay wait. As a lion observes with 9, as hungry lions do their prey watchful eyes, just so observe with watchful eyes. Wicked man surprises so heedless innocence would they with sudden force. A very with sudden force surprise, just simile. And then, like lions merciless, they surprise them like their trembling souls devour. Lions, but then they devour and thus the helpless do oppress. 4 Devour them like lions. When captives to their power. 13 No more no mu are pronounced rhyming with power. This like my lady's woman. 14 Deserts desa rts. Pronounce rhyming with hearts. This like my lady's housemaid. 11 Psalm of David. 1 Come on, come you and pronounce rhyming with shun. This like a chambermaid. The force of his argument lies here. He does 3-4 If the power, in which they trust, not fear his enemies, should fail, how helpless are the just? Because if God's power should fail, he has no help. 6 And on their impious heads will pour. 1 A shower of snares. 1 And flames a dismal shower. On a man's head would in this their bitter cup must be do wonderful execution. 12 Psalm of David. 1 O Lord, some help for me provide. He can confide in but few I can confide, few because all are. All men are so perfidious grown, perfidious, smoke that. 2 True mutual kindness they pretend. Did ever any man pretend mutual kindness to another? 3 But God those flatterers will confound. Whether flatterers that with abusive lies abound, usually abound with and proudly boast their vicious ways, abusive lies. For that say, with our deceitful tongues, if they say, thus they are silly flatterers. 6 And since he thus was pleased to say, that comparison is like gold refined from base alloy, well applied. His promise never can deceive. 3 Deceive, pronounce this like a bow. 7 And therefore will their cause assert. Examine well the grammar who thus are pure and true of heart, and sense and the end save them from the enemy. Elegance of this stanza. 8-4 When ungodly meet success, here the author separates the wicked more and more increase. 1 The wicked from and proudly all their foes defy. The ungodly. 13 Psalm of David. 1 How long wilt thou neglect, a civil question that? O Lord, to hear me pray. 3 Attend, and hear my cries, mind me, sir. Some comfort now disclose, ere grief has shut my weeping eyes, which would be nonsense, in death's obscure repose. Put in prose. For lest my proud enemy, if now my trust should fail, and those that persecute me cry, see, thus we still prevail, a pretty speech that. 14 Psalm of David. 1 Hence virtue in the world declines, without question virtue, and all men vicious grow. Declines with a vengeance when all men grow vicious. 2 And see who would his being own, what other way is and him, as God, adore, thereof adoring. 3 But they were all perverted grown. 2 but they were all polluted all with blood, perverted groan, and other impious crimes. Not one in spite of Dr. Gibbs was either just three or good. His blood, of all his impious rhymes not one was either just or good. Four are they so stupid, four then, said five God. Four the fault was not who thus my six saints devour. That they devoured these seven crimes have they not understood, saints, but that they nor thought upon my power, were stupid. Whether stupidity makes men devour saints, or devouring saints makes a man stupid, I believe the latter, because they may be apt to lie heavy in one's stomach. 7:1 Oh, that his aid we now might have won, and oh, that every from Sion's holy hill parish clerk, that God the captive just would save, who hums what Brady cribs and glad all Israel. From Hopkins would read this work and glad the heart with Gibbs. 15 Psalm of David. Representing the character of a good man and a bad poet. 2 Sincere and just who never lie. 3 And so their neighbor ne'er deceive, how so? 5 All those that lead a life like this too, and so the doctor shall reign in everlasting bliss. 2 Now may kiss. Venice. Fiddling, impudent, nauseous, illiterate scoundrel, oolish, dle, unsensical, norent cot.